Right now, the universe is opening a new door for Gemini, and this video is going to show you all 11 of the clear signals that this is happening so that by the time you reach the end, you will not just believe it, you will feel it as something real and already underway. There are periods in every person's life when the energy shifts in a fundamental way. When doors that were closed begin to open. When pathways that were blocked begin to clear. When something that has been building quietly beneath the surface suddenly starts to become visible in the world around you. For Gemini, this is one of those periods. But here is the thing about open doors: you have to recognize them before you can walk through them. A door can be standing wide open and still be missed if you are looking in the wrong direction, or if you have been told so many times that closed doors are the norm that you no longer fully trust what you see when one swings open. These 11 signals are your guide. They will help you recognize not just that a door is open, but which direction it is pointing and what it is asking of you. Pay close attention. Some of these signals you will have already felt. Others may arrive in your life in the days following this video. All of them are real. And the door they are pointing to, Gemini, that door is genuine and it is open right now and it is waiting for you to walk through it. Signal 1. The first signal that the universe is opening a new door for Gemini is a sudden, inexplicable sense of lightness. A lifting of something that has been weighing on you for longer than you realize, without any obvious external change to explain it. One day, or over the course of several days, you notice that the heaviness you had come to think of as normal is simply less. The background weight that you had grown so accustomed to that you stopped noticing it as separate from yourself has quietly diminished. You breathe a little easier. Small things feel a little less complicated. The quality of an ordinary afternoon is, without obvious reason, slightly better than it has been. This signal is easy to dismiss. The mind wants a reason, wants to identify what changed, what shifted, what caused the improvement. And when it cannot find an obvious cause, it may decide the feeling is temporary or unreliable. But the feeling is neither temporary nor unreliable. It is a sign. It is the energetic weather changing. The atmosphere around you and inside you shifting in response to a door that is opening in your life, one whose effects are being felt before its shape is fully visible. For Gemini, this signal often arrives in the body before the mind has registered anything. You may notice it first as a physical sensation: shoulders that have been held up around your ears beginning to drop, a breath that goes a little deeper than usual, a loosening somewhere in the chest. The body knows before the mind does. It is registering the change in the energy field around you. The opening of space, the arrival of possibility, the beginning of movement in a direction that is genuinely good for you. When you feel this lightness, do not question it or search for its cause. Simply receive it. Simply allow yourself to notice that something has shifted, and that the shift is in a direction you recognize as good. That recognition, that quiet yes to what the lightness is telling you, is how you begin to move through the door that is opening. Signal 2. The second signal is about the arrival of the right kind of coincidence, the kind that is too pointed to be random, the kind where what you needed showed up exactly when you needed it, in a form that served you in a way that felt designed rather than accidental. For Gemini, whose mind naturally looks for patterns and connections, this signal tends to be especially recognizable, and yet also especially easy to rationalize away. You might explain it as confirmation bias, as the natural tendency to notice what is already on your mind. And yes, that happens. But there is a quality to the synchronicities that come when a door is genuinely opening that is different from ordinary pattern recognition. They have a specificity to them. They respond to things you have not said aloud, things you have only been thinking, desires or questions or longings that you have been carrying quietly, without articulation. When the universe arranges a response to those unspoken things, when exactly the right piece of information arrives, or exactly the right person reappears, or exactly the right opportunity presents itself in exactly the moment when you were beginning to doubt whether anything would, that is signal 2. That is the new door making itself visible through the language of meaningful coincidence. Pay attention to the specificity. Note when something arrives that responds to something you were thinking rather than something you were saying. Note the timing. How precisely an opening appears at the moment when it is most needed. These are not random. They are coordinates. They are the universe showing you where the door is and which direction it faces. Each synchronicity is an invitation to take the next step. And the next step right now is simply to notice what is arriving and to remain open to the direction it is pointing. Signal 3. Signal 3 is a quiet but unmistakable shift in the quality of your thoughts. Specifically, a growing tendency for your mind to move toward possibility rather than away from it. This may sound simple, but for anyone who has spent time in a difficult or stuck cycle, the direction of the mind's default movement is anything but simple. During harder periods, the mind tends to move toward the obstacle first, toward the reason something will not work, the risk that makes the step feel too large, the history that suggests caution. That orientation is not failure. It is the mind doing its job of protection. But it can also become a habit, a fixed direction of thinking that continues pointing toward the problem, even when the conditions around you have changed. When a new door begins to open, something shifts in the mind's default orientation. It is subtle at first. You notice that you are entertaining ideas you would have quickly dismissed before. You find that when a new thought arrives, a possibility, an opportunity, an idea, your first response is not immediately to find the flaw, but to sit with it for a moment longer. To ask with genuine curiosity, what if this could work? That shift, that brief extra moment before the doubt arrives, is signal 3. It is the mind beginning to reorient toward what is opening rather than what has closed. It is an early and reliable sign that the energy around you is shifting in the direction of opportunity. When you notice this happening, when you catch yourself genuinely considering something you would have quickly shut down before, let it happen. Do not rush past that moment of open consideration. It is the mind practicing its new direction. And every moment of genuine openness is a step closer to the door. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Signal 4. The fourth signal that the universe is opening a new door for Gemini shows up in your body, and it is the return of genuine physical energy, not the anxious, caffeinated kind of energy that comes from pushing through something difficult, but the real kind. The kind that feels like it comes from somewhere deep inside rather than from the surface. The kind that makes you want to move, to create, to begin things. When you are in a period where energy is blocked or misdirected, the body reflects it. You feel sluggish or wired but not productive, or exhausted in the particular way of someone who has been working hard on the wrong things. Getting through the day requires more effort than it should. The simple tasks feel heavier than they used to. But when the door is opening, when the energy around you is shifting toward what is genuinely right for you, the body begins to come alive again in ways that are deeply recognizable once you know what you are looking for. You wake with something closer to readiness than reluctance. You find that movement, walking, stretching, anything physical, feels not like effort but like relief. The body wants to participate in the new chapter. It wants to be part of the building. For Gemini, whose energy can be highly variable, brilliant and engaged one moment, depleted the next, this sustained sense of returning vitality is a meaningful signal. It means the door that is opening is aligned with your true path. Because energy flows naturally toward alignment. It does not need to be forced or manufactured. When you are moving in a direction that is genuinely right for you, the energy shows up to support you, quietly at first, and then with increasing presence and power. Signal 5. Signal 5 is showing up in your relationships, specifically, in a subtle but real shift in the quality of what you are receiving from the people in your life. This does not necessarily mean new people, though new people may be part of it. More precisely, it means that the quality of connection, the depth, the honesty, the mutual care seems to be increasing. Conversations that once stayed on the surface are going somewhere more real. People who have been somewhat distant are showing up with more presence. A dynamic that felt imbalanced is beginning to find a new equilibrium. This shift in relational quality is one of the clearest signals that the energy around you is genuinely opening up, because your relationships always reflect your inner state. When you are in a closed or stuck cycle, your relationships tend to reflect that stuckness. They can become habitual, surface level, or quietly draining. But when something opens inside you, the quality of what your relationships can hold opens with it. You begin to bring more of yourself to the people you care about. And more often than not, they rise to meet that. For Gemini, who places genuine value on connection, and whose well-being is deeply tied to the quality of your relational life, Signal 5 is one of the most welcome on this list. If you have noticed even one conversation in recent weeks that felt more alive than what you have been used to, more honest, more present, more mutually invested, that is the door opening through the language of human connection. Let it continue. Let yourself show up with increasing openness, because the quality of connection that is available to Gemini right now is a reflection of what the new chapter holds. Signal 6. The sixth signal is perhaps the most personal on this list, and it is the one that tends to catch Gemini most off guard. It is the signal of unexpected joy, a moment of genuine, uncomplicated happiness that arrives without a reason proportionate to its intensity. You are doing something ordinary, something routine, something that would not normally merit much feeling at all. And for a moment, a clear, bright, present moment, you feel genuinely happy. Not relieved, not merely okay, not the muted contentment of someone who has learned to manage their expectations downward, but actually fully, simply happy. These moments are signal 6. They are small windows into the emotional landscape of the new chapter, previews of the quality of life that is waiting on the other side of the door. They feel like gifts precisely because they are unexpected. They arrive without being engineered. They cannot be summoned through effort or intention alone. They simply happen because something in the energy around you is genuinely good, and for a moment your full self registers that goodness without the usual protective filters in place. For Gemini, who understands the full range of experience, who knows what difficult feels like, what complicated feels like, what loss feels like, these moments of unexpected joy carry a particular weight. They are evidence. They are the universe saying, this is what is coming. Not all the time, not without the full reality of life mixed in, but genuinely, sustainably, more than you have had in a while. When one of these moments arrives, let yourself be fully in it. Do not immediately move past it. Just let it be real, and let it remind you of what you are moving toward. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Signal 7. Signal 7 is about the way the past has been showing up for you differently. Not in the painful way of unresolved things resurfacing to demand attention, but in a gentler way, a more integrated way. Old memories arriving with less sting. Old wounds appearing in the mind with something closer to understanding than to pain. Old chapters of your life that once felt unfinished beginning to feel, quietly and gradually, more complete. This shift in how the past appears to you is one of the clearest signals that the energy is genuinely moving forward, because the past only holds us as tightly as we hold it. When we are in the middle of processing an old wound, the memory of it has sharp edges. It arrives with the same emotional intensity as the original experience. But when we have genuinely moved through something, when the integration has happened, when the lesson has been absorbed at a level deeper than the intellect, the memory changes. The edges soften. The emotional charge diminishes. The story takes its right-sized place in the full story of who you are. If you have noticed recently that something from your past, a relationship, a difficult period, a choice you once regretted, is appearing in your mind with less pain than it used to carry, that is signal 7. It means the integration is happening. It means you are genuinely moving on, not by forgetting or suppressing, but by absorbing. And that absorption is what creates the internal space for the new chapter to take hold. The door that is opening requires a person who has made room for it, and you, Gemini, are making that room now. Signal 8. Signal 8 is showing up in how you talk to yourself in the small, unguarded moments. Not in the formal moments of reflection when you are deliberately trying to be kind to yourself, but in the off-the-cuff, automatic background commentary that runs through your mind as you move through your day. When a door is genuinely opening for Gemini, the internal voice begins to change its tone. Not dramatically, not all at once, but in the fleeting moments, a comment you make to yourself when something goes wrong, the way you respond internally when you compare yourself to someone else, the way you speak to yourself when you make a mistake, something is shifting. The voice is slightly kinder, slightly more patient, slightly more willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. For most people, this shift goes entirely unnoticed precisely because it is happening in the most ordinary and unmonitored moments. But if you pay attention, if you listen to how you actually speak to yourself in those fleeting automatic moments, you may find that the commentary is softer than it has been, that the judgment is a little less immediate, that there is, occasionally, a small moment of genuine self-compassion arriving without being deliberately engineered. That is signal 8. It is the internal landscape of the new chapter, a version of you that treats yourself the way you would treat someone you genuinely love, because you have begun to extend that quality of care to yourself without consciously deciding to. It arrives naturally when the energy is right, and the energy is right for you now. Signal 9. The ninth signal that a new door is opening for Gemini is one that appears in what you are no longer afraid of. Fear is a helpful and honest signal when it is protecting us from something genuinely dangerous. But fear can also calcify. It can become a habit, a posture, a default response to things that are not actually threatening but simply unfamiliar. And in that calcified form, it closes doors that are meant to be open. When the energy is genuinely shifting, when the universe is opening a door and your own readiness is responding to it, some of those old fears simply begin to lose their grip. Not because you have done anything specific to overcome them, but because you have grown past the version of yourself they were protecting. The thing that once seemed intimidating no longer seems so large. The step that once felt impossible now feels merely difficult, which is a completely different thing. You may notice Signal 9 as a new willingness to consider something you would previously have ruled out immediately, or as a quieter internal response to a situation that once would have caused a significant reaction, or simply as a sense of standing a little more steadily in your own life, a little less braced, a little less on guard, a little more open to what is arriving. That steadiness is not accidental. It is the product of everything you have moved through and everything you have learned. And right now, that steadiness is exactly what the universe was waiting for, because the door that is opening requires you to walk through it with your eyes open, and that is precisely what you are now able to do. Signal 10. Signal 10 is about your relationship with the present moment, and a shift that has been happening quietly in how fully you are able to inhabit it. One of the less visible effects of a stuck or difficult cycle is that it pulls the mind away from the present. You spend more time in the past, replaying, revisiting, wondering how things could have gone differently, or in the future, planning, anticipating, preparing for difficulties that may or may not arrive. The present moment becomes a place you pass through rather than a place you inhabit. But when the door is opening, when the energy around you is genuinely good and genuinely moving in the right direction, something shifts in your relationship to now. You find it easier to simply be here, to be in the room you are in the conversation you are having, in the task you are doing, without the background hum of somewhere else pulling at your attention. Ordinary moments begin to feel more substantial. A cup of something warm, the light at a particular time of day, the sound of a familiar voice. These things arrive with more presence, more reality, more richness than they have had in a while. That arrival, that increasing sense of nowness, is Signal 10. It is a sign of a mind that is no longer spending all its energy managing what was or bracing for what might be, because what is happening right now is genuinely good enough to deserve your full presence. The present moment for you is becoming a place worth inhabiting. And that is exactly right, because the door the universe is opening for you, Gemini, is a door that exists in this moment, in this life, in the fully lived reality of who you are right now. Signal 11. You have arrived at Signal 11, and this is the one that brings all the others into focus, the one that makes sense of everything else you have felt and noticed and wondered about. Signal 11 is this: you feel, somewhere beneath all the questions and all the analysis and all the very reasonable uncertainty, that something real is coming. Not as a fantasy, not as a wishful projection onto a future that may or may not cooperate, but as a genuine, embodied, quiet sense of knowing, the kind that lives below the level of thought, in the part of you that has been navigating this life for a long time and has learned to recognize the difference between hope that is just hope and knowing that is real. You feel it when you are quiet enough to feel it. In the early morning before the day takes over. In the pause at the end of something before the next thing begins. In the moment just after a meaningful conversation, when the air still holds the quality of what was said. It is a sense of something approaching, something good, something that is taking the shape of the life you have been quietly building toward. Not the perfect life, not the life without difficulty, but the life that is genuinely yours. That feeling, that quiet, persistent, real sense of something real coming is Signal 11. And it is the most important signal on this list because it is not the universe speaking to you from outside. It is you speaking to yourself from inside. It is the deepest part of you, the part that knows your path and your purpose and your timing, telling you that the door is open, that you are ready, and that what is on the other side of it is worth walking toward. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are. These 11 signals are not predictions about what might happen someday in some uncertain future. They are descriptions of what is already happening, right now, in the texture of your daily life, in the quality of your inner experience, in the way the world around you is beginning to respond to who you are becoming. Gemini, the door is open. It has been open for a while. And now, with these signals clear in your mind, you have everything you need to walk through it. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, but now. Today. With the exact version of yourself you are right now. That version is ready. That version is enough. And that version is exactly who the new chapter was waiting for.